Welcome, Rangsan, and thank you for being with me. We're in different parts of the world, and I know you're a busy person, so I really appreciate you taking the time to doing this interview with me. So, to begin with, could you please introduce yourself, who you are and what you do, and then we'll go into some of my questions.
Okay, my name is Rangsan Thammaneewong. Basically, I'm a consultant. I work with executives on what the problems that they keep they up at night. The first question I meet them is also, what keep you up at night, and we go from there. A lot of people call me an expert in executive sleep. I'm not a doctor. I work with a group of executives, probably like 3 to 7 people, top executive of a company, basically by using crafting strategy for them, help them with implementation, and use a little bit of coaching and psychology in my work.
That's great. Now, we've been talking a little bit, and could you give us a little bit of, the numbers? How is the situation with COVID-19 at this point in Thailand? Just briefly.
Okay, I think in Thailand today, I think we have about 2,000, and right now I'm looking at a number of about 2,600 people infection right now today. And if you read the news, if you go back 60 days ago, we probably one of the first few countries who are shown to have the patient number 1, right after Chinese. I mean, I think it was China, and then it's Hong Kong, and then it's Thailand, because Thailand is the most popular tourist destination.
Wow.
In the world for Chinese.
How come you think the number stayed that low? Because this is not a big infection. You have 200 deaths or something like that. And so why they didn't explode like everywhere else, you think?
I think one of the reason, because basically, I mean, a couple months before the virus broke out, the quality of air, I think it's probably a blessing in disguise. The quality of air in Thailand in Bangkok was like 150, level of PM 2.5. So a lot of people walking outside, so they were wearing protective masks already. So when the virus broke out, people are wearing that same mask again. So basically they are protecting themselves. And I think that is one of the reasons that we already have equipment in place in every household. And I think one of the things is our culture is, we always have a culture of not imposing things on people. There are words in Thai language called Rangsan. We don't want to impose people. We don't get sick, and we don't mind look ridiculous with a mask on, but because we want to make sure that we don't impose our sickness on other people, even though we are not sick, but we don't want them to feel uneasy. That is why we are protecting ourselves, and the counterparty is doing the same. So if two people doing the same thing, it's a double protection, right, David?
Well, not only that, I think there's a lot of respect in that, and I don't think Western culture I've never looked at this type of respect to others. We are afraid to be infected, but we don't really take care of the other not to be infected. And I believe it's beautiful to hear that I don't want to impose anything on you, not even my viruses or my things that I can share with you, even on a medical level. So I think that's a beautiful form of respect that from us. Western has been always kind of underestimated, and it comes very handy at this point in time, because you're not only protecting yourself, but you're protecting people around you. That seems beautiful to me.
Right. Yes. I mean, and if we enter into this and we don't know who we are fighting, right? The COVID. I mean, if we walk in this battle and we think we are not vulnerable, we are strong, we are macho, we don't want to look stupid. I mean, that is risky. I mean, basically. But if we walk in with protective gear, at least we are, protected. I think we should walk in with humility, and we don't know what we are fighting. And even though people who wear masks, give them some respect. Maybe they're sick, maybe they're not sick. Don't judge them. Don't judge them. Don't be racism. And I think that is very important with that mindset. And you see, one of the countries, with 300 million people population, have 500,000. Where China have 1.5 billion and only have like 80,000. So, one of the strongest country in America, one of the strongest country in the world, like America, is still very vulnerable with this.
Oh yeah,
I think we have to go into any situation with the right mindset, I think.
That's incredible. I think that's a beautiful message, even for people not to be, not to be ashamed of something that can be very helpful. Now, one thing, Thailand is a very touristical area. You know, a lot. I've been there for tourism. You know, a lot of people have been there for tourism. What's going on at this point in time? How are you looking at this situation? Is economically a big problem on the side of people coming for tourism? How is it going now?
I think I think the number of tourists probably have dropped by 80%,
Wow.
but still we have a lot of people who are still stranded because the flights canceled. A lot of people, we are expensive tourist destination for some tourist group, and we also very cheap tourist destinations. I heard from the ambassador from Israel 10 years ago said Thailand is a second most popular destination after New York for Israel's teenagers. They come to Thailand and they hang out on the beach and they travel around the world and hang out on the beach in Thailand for a long time. And they spend like about $10 or $20 in a bungalow by the beach, sharing like 4 or 5 people in a room. And we also have Russian tourists, and maybe British tourists who are spending very little money. And a lot of them are stranded now, but I think they are being fed because Thai people are quite generous. We don't like to see people suffer. So you can see these people in the news are receiving free food from some restaurants that are still open.
Yes. Oh, it's beautiful because you have a lot of foreigners on the ground still.
Sorry?
Do you have a lot of foreigners on the ground? There are a lot of people.
I think we still have, because my son is still stranded in Japan. I mean, he's working in Japan. He wants to come, but it's difficult for him to come back. He has to be, if he comes from Japan, he has to be quarantined for like 14 days.
Wow, wow. Well, thank you, Rangsan, and it was a pleasure talking to you. And I think, if you don't mind, maybe in a couple of weeks, I might check in with you again just to see how things evolve and just how we get out. But I really want to thank you for your time and your wisdom, and I hope we will get some of that wisdom for ourselves, and we could, use it in this time of crisis. At least for the moment being, when it's important to do these things. So thank you very, very, very much, Rangsan.